We are live here again for the 2023 Arnold Classic post-game show. I'm Dave Palumbo, fried like a lobster from soccer today with the kids. But I am here with our group of hoodlums, as I like to call us, King Kamali, John Hansen, Ameen, Alai joining us today, and Larry Pollack. Guys, thanks for joining us. Samson Dauda, the new Arnold Classic champion. Who predicted that one? Anyone?
No.
Nope.
We were going with Andrew Jack or Nick, so that was a shock.
Big win. And you know what? From what I understand,
I
from
had
the judges,
Nick winning going into it.
You did. Yeah, I think a lot of people did. That would have been a safe bet. From what I hear, the judges said that I was hearing that Andrew Jack was possibly leading after the prejudging, and they really were going to decide today. So
yeah, I thought so based on the way that they positioned them. Also,
there he is, the champ. I mean, structure. You can't even argue structurally that Samson Dauda is well. That's Andrew Jack right there, but Samson Dauda is the best structure on that stage for sure. I mean,
he's the most complete. He had the best overall symmetry between his legs, upper body, his arms, forearms, calves. Everything was very complete. He was very, very well conditioned, and he came across extremely good and imposing.
Yeah, and he was harder tonight too, and it really showed off. And he did look better when they had the three of them up there. So he did pull ahead and deserving winner.
And Arnold really liked him. You could tell when Arnold was in that booth.
Relaxed.
When Arnold was talking in the booth with Fuad and Dennis James, he was very, very high up on Samson Dauda's physique.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Arnold's smart. You know, he can tell he knows what he's looking at, and he saw the good balance and proportions of Samson, and he definitely had the physique tonight. I think he's going to really be tough at the Olympia.
Yeah, I didn't think he was that hard from behind. I still thought he could have been a little tighter, but Chris Aceto was there, and Chris told me that he really, in person, looked really, really good.
Yeah,
He made a lot of there's. Both him and Andrew Jack made incredible improvements. I think Samson had more time off, so he made better improvements as far as like overall conditioning and just proportions. He was the most complete bodybuilder. He had the best symmetry overall, according to just the waist, the legs, everything was in. I think Andrew Jack needs more time. His forearms need to get a little bit bigger. His frontal bicep, his arms need a little bit because he's tall. He's 6'2", so his limbs are going to need a little bit more time. From the rear, his legs weren't quite as big as Samson's. Were like close together. The inner thighs, the hamstrings, everything, even the calves, more developed than Andrew. I think Andrew has the potential, but he's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Well, they all had the same amount of time because all these guys did the Olympia. So you really can't say one person had more time to get ready than the other. You know, I think that, Nick Walker was very disappointed in placing second here. And you know what? Whenever I see that most muscular award going to some guy, I'm always like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Right.
Grant Warren won 5 most muscular awards. He only won 2 Arnold Classics. So, Nick Walker's most muscular sounded like a consolation prize to me. And when I saw, Andrew Jack got the best poser, I'm like, uh-oh, it looks like Samson's going to win this show.
Yeah. Andrew did the
they actually
splits.
called it like that.
Yeah. We haven't seen a bodybuilder do the splits really that well since Flex Wheeler.
Yeah.
He did it from the front and from the back. It was very impressive. I could see how he won the best poser, even though Samson's an incredible poser. But like you said, Dave, they usually don't give it both to the same person. So the winner.
I'm glad you said it. I would have given Samson probably the best poser, but I think they knew he was going to win, so they wanted to divvy up the prize money a little more. King, you're very quiet over there. What's going on in your mind?
I'm listening to. To be honest with you, it's been a long day for me, and I'm a little bit tired. But yeah, man, I enjoyed it. Everything was good. But I think right now the real battle starts now, because now you got to take everything what we just happened, and you got to flip it to the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to flip everything right now to the Mr. Olympia. And there's something that Ameen had taught me and Ameen had taught Titus and Don Long and all of us from the East Coast and the Maryland, Virginia, D.C. Right now is the critical time for both Andrew and for Samson to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle during the rebound.
That's right.
I don't know, Dave, if you are a rebound.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so for the kids out there who don't understand.
Hold on, before you continue, someone's making a banging sound. They're banging their microphone around some. I don't know which one of you guys is doing it, but just be careful.
Yeah, I'm innocent when it comes to that, brother. It's not me. It's not me.
I think it's an echo from Kamali's mic.
No, I didn't have an echo last night, man. It was not me. No. But yeah, so the rebound right now is the most important factor. So you have to. I mean, it's absolutely vital that Andrew and Samson get to work on putting on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle right now. Their bodies are sponges right now. Explain it, Ameen. You're the one who taught me this shit.
I think it's you, Hansen. I think it's you who's the microphone is doing that, making that.
All right.
You know what? I think what the point you're trying to make is that, first of all, I don't think Ramy's getting any bigger. He doesn't need to get any bigger. So Ramy is probably not going to improve. Nick Walker might get a little bigger, but I think, like you said, Andrew and Samson are still growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So more than anything, Samson really doesn't need to get bigger. Maybe his back a little bit, but I think we're going to see Andrew make the most improvements from now through the Olympia. And don't be surprised if he comes back 10 pounds bigger, because I thought the thing that cost him the show was that his legs just are not that big compared to his height and to the rest of him.
Also,
legs, Dave. Legs
too. His legs are too far apart.
It's not just the legs, Dave. When you sit down and really analyze, which I did tonight, I really sat there and looked around. He is just because of his structure and because of his height, he just seems a little bit thinner than everybody else.
Yes.
And when he's standing next to super mass monsters, that makes him look extra thin. So that's what the judges are also seeing, because that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
But again, if he packs on that 15 pounds, which he can do this, he will be incredibly dangerous. And Samson, Dave, don't just say a little bit on his back. Okay, Mr. Olympias are known for what? Their backs. Yep. Okay, so Samson's weak point is what? His back. He doesn't have a weak point, but his back double bicep and back lat spread are not Ronnie-ish or Jay Cutler-ish or Lee Haney-ish or Phil Heath-ish. They're not. So he's got to get that to that point, or Hadi and Derek are going to expose him on stage.
Do you think that the judges had a very difficult time with this lineup? Because let's face it, everyone was missing a little something. And let's just talk about, we're talking about Samson. His back could have been a little tighter and a little drier, I felt. You know, he got better from yesterday to today, no doubt about that. Andrew, conditioning was perfect, I thought. But he looked a little flat in the legs, like you said. He just needs a little bit more mass there. Nick Walker was, as he always is, flawless. He was a little flat yesterday. I thought he was better today. His little knock would be structure compared to the two other guys that have the greatest structure in the lineup. And then, of course, Ramy is Ramy. You know, I mean, he's got all the muscle he could possibly need. I thought he looked really good, but obviously the judges don't want that look anymore because, let's face it, he was pretty damn good, you know, yesterday and today. But yet he's still finishing in the fourth position. So what does that say? Is Ramy done?
Let me say something really quick. Ramy should have really showed up in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to say anything else about that.
I don't think that cost him placing.
No. I'm not saying that. But the fact is that year, the year that he did the Olympia and he didn't show up at Pittsburgh, that's when his legs had the dents in them and everything else. And I think that if he would have showed up at Pittsburgh, they might have said, look, you know, back off and make some changes. He could have had some good advice and he might have been able to be better. But once those things happen, they are extremely – I don't even know if it's possible to fix it, to be honest with you.
I think, Dave, that Big Ramy is the quintessential example of the wolf that's climbing the hill is hungrier than the wolf that's sitting on top of the hill. I think Ramy got comfortable with his posse of people kissing his ass on a daily basis, telling him how great he is. People throwing flowers at him when he walks down the street. people buying him cars as gifts because he's Egyptian and Middle Eastern, this and that. I think that got to his head because the fire that you have when you're trying to get to that, you got to sustain that fire. And it's not easy, man. It's not easy to sustain that hunger and fire. And I think that's one of the things that was his downfall these last couple of years.
I think his body is just not what it was 10 years ago, which is what his arms are small compared to the rest of him. His legs look suspicious, even though they're enormous. His proportion's a little weird now. You know what I mean? It's like his legs are freaky big, but his arms are small. And he's got the lats to me did not look bad today. I thought they looked pretty good. I don't know, his conditioning was a lot better. I think Chad did about as good a job as you can do with
100%. Yes.
With what Ramy's got going on now. I don't think that Ramy can be much better than this. And if he can't be much better than this and he can't win the Olympia, should he be trying? That's the question. Is it worth it for him to keep pushing his health? He's approaching 40 now. What is he, about 38, 39 now? And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
His answer is, let's look at his blood work. How about that?
Well, he's probably.
I think
structurally he probably has perfect blood work.
If his blood work is fine, Dave,
I agree.
They're going in a different direction.
I think they're sending a message to Ramy that we don't want that look anymore.
Yeah, I was with him in 2021. I was at the photo shoot.
The judges they said it at the Olympia with the top two. They're just they don't want that mass over shape and symmetry, and they said it again today.
I agree.
They're rewarding conditioning and symmetry and structure over just complete mass. They did it. The two smallest guys at the Olympia placed top two.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Ramy
Nick was definitely most muscular today, and he got beat.
And Ramy was good today. That's the message. Like Larry said, if Ramy wasn't good, then it would be.
They're basically
don't you think that
size trumps.
Dave, don't you think that if they really wanted to hammer in this message that you're talking about right now, they would have put Sean ahead of him?
Yeah, but you know what? They couldn't because Ramy's just too big for Sean. I got to tell you, Sean Clarita, 5th place here. That is a huge, huge victory for him.
Huge.
You can't even put like I mean, this says everything. He was completely validated here at this show. And I think that he should be, I mean, if there was a most improved bodybuilder or some kind of like People's Choice Award, I mean, Sean Clarita, he got my vote on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
He has an incredible physique, great bicep.
He's about 180 pounds.
Yeah, it's amazing how well he did. But that's what goes to show you when you have really good symmetry and balance. Like everyone says, his only downfall is he's just a little bit too short, which makes him look a little bit small. But standing alone, he looks incredible.
What do you think about people who are saying that Nick Walker should have won this show?
Nick, after prejudging, should have won the show?
No, guys are saying Nick Walker should have won the show.
I don't think so. I think Samson.
He was.
Hold on. Let me ask you this question.
He won the back shots.
Would anyone have complained if Nick Walker won the show? I don't think so. I wouldn't have complained.
No one would have complained.
I think.
You know what?
Go ahead.
We judge these shows.
Nick won the back, and he won the side and the back shots.
But what about let's talk about Nick Walker's conditioning. Who was better from behind, Samson or Nick?
Nick.
I think still Nick.
Nick was shredded from behind.
For sure, Nick.
You can make a case all day long for Nick Walker winning this show, and no one would complain.
Nick, Dave, here's a great scenario.
A year ago today, Nick might have won this show.
This is a great scenario right here, Dave. Take out Samson and Andrew. Put in Derek and Hottie. Nick would have had a really good chance tonight.
Or not.
I think he would have. I think Nick compares to Hottie and to Derek a lot better than he compares to Samson and Andrew. Yeah. It's just I think he's the freak factor standing next to a Hottie or standing next to someone who is his height. These guys that are standing his height, Nick comes off even more. He shines even more. It's these guys with the genetic freaky small waists and the sweepy quads and the X frames that are his kryptonite. That's Nick's kryptonite.
Yeah,
Nick doesn't look good in the front lat spread. His midsection seems too long and extended. Sometimes in the side pose, his chest doesn't look too full. Coming against Andrew Jack, I saw Andrew Jack live backstage with him at the Texas Pro. The man's lower pectoral development is something I've never seen before. It's absolutely phenomenal. He needs to balance out his physique, put a little bit more mass in the upper chest, a little bit more size on the appendages and back in the hamstrings. He has a longer glute muscle like Ronnie did. I think he could even look better if he had more striated glutes and it was a little bit drier in the conditioning. But, Samson was overall the best package. He has the best. We look at him right now, the quads, the upper body, they match even better. Andrew just looks a little bit shallow when it comes to the size compared to Nick and Samson, in my opinion.
Well, no, I think they got the placings right, but I'm saying the top two, I think you could have flipped them, and I don't think anyone would have complained.
I don't think people would have complained. I think it's just going to show the direction that the judges want. I think they're rewarding, like Larry said, they're rewarding symmetry and balance a little bit more than sheer mass. And Nick is definitely the biggest one, without a doubt. He's the thickest. He's like a little tank compared to the guys on his right and his left in this video.
Well, Samson came back better too, so let's not forget that.
He must have heard you to put on more oil.
Yeah, well, he was obvious, man. He was dry.
Yeah.
That was different. Samson came in better, because if he would have came in like he did yesterday, then he wouldn't have won. I think Nick was leading and Nick would have won, but Samson came in better, and he presented his physique better tonight too. Even during the mandatory poses, you could see even in the transitions from pose to pose, Samson was flexing his back. Like, I don't know if you saw when he's facing the rear, he was putting his arms back, and his traps were splitting. The judges noticed that stuff, and when that's what made the difference. He came in just a little bit harder, and it was close enough where he was able to pull ahead.
And both Samson and Nick
structurally, he's better structurally, but he's also bigger than everybody on the stage besides Ramy.
Yeah, and he's got better balance. He's just overall just proportioned better. His legs match his upper body better. And
he weighed 290 something on that stage.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was bigger than him.
I don't have a problem with.
I think his legs might have been bigger than Nick's.
Not
from behind, but from the front.
I don't have a problem with Samson winning, because I think that structurally the guy's incredible. I really believe he needs to be tighter if he wants to win the Olympia.
Yeah.
And the question is, does he have enough mass on the rear? When he gets tighter, which I know he will be for the Olympia. So I think that they really, Milos and him got to go to back to the drawing board and pack some more mass on that upper body in the back department. And I think that I don't see how Hadi Chupin or Derek Lunsford could stand next to an in shape Samson Dauda. I mean, with that structure, right? I mean,
I agree. I'm going to say this right now. I think the Mr. Olympia is actually a competition between Milos, Chris, and Hani, because every one of their athletes are tremendous, and it's really about what those guys do, their coaches do, to get them in the best condition. They all could be winners. Whoever is actually in the best condition will win.
Well, you want to hear something funny? Obviously we know that Andrew Jack's been living with Psycho Lewis out in California, training with him at his gym for the last 8 weeks. I'm sure he's going to stay there now, probably through the Olympia, to try to make some improvements.
Sure.
Even more improvements for the Olympia. I hear that Ramy contacted Psycho Lewis to train with him.
Really? Well, Ramy needs that, because he's over in Egypt and he doesn't have someone really pushing him, like Kamali said. And if you don't have, we see Hadi train. He trains like an animal, drop sets.
Right. But you know what?
Dense muscle,
You know what though? But if you remember, if any of you guys watched my interview with Psycho Lewis, I asked. He told me when Andrew first got there, he tried to make him quit.
Yes.
He's like, I worked him so hard. I wanted him to say, I quit, I leave.
No days off.
And he didn't quit.
No.
I don't know if Ramy would. I
agree with you.
Ramy might quit. I don't know if he'd make it through there.
I think Andrew's got some fire. I think tonight it really is going to give him the drive to do even better. And I really say that although Samson won tonight, watch out for Andrew, because if Andrew puts on a little more muscle on his frame, he's going to be dangerous.
If he can do it. Don't forget, Andrew is 38 years old. He's only been competing for a year and a half, but
that's what I meant, Dave. I said that he needed more time. Is that he's only been competing for a year and a half. Samson's been doing this longer, and everybody else has been doing this longer, but him. So, like Kamali said, his body's still fresh, right? So if he can take advantage of that freshness. It all really depends on what Chris can do. And I mean that. Psycho's doing his job. Chris is the technician. If Chris can pull it off, he's going to do something tremendous like what he did with Sean Roden, rest in peace. And I think we're going to see an amazing Mr. Olympia. It's going to be between, again, Chris, Milos, and Hani. They all have people that can win first place. It's really all about who comes in the best condition.
Dave, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
The Samson that won tonight against Hadi at the Olympia, who would have won?
Hadi.
Okay. I say the same thing. That's why he's got to start working now.
Yes.
He's got to
I'm
start. He's got to
telling
get
you,
to
I
work.
don't know. I think Samson won tonight by a smidgen.
Very,
A smidgen.
very close.
We'll
Very
find out. We'll see the score sheets.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I'm telling you.
I'll call Steve.
I guarantee it's very close. Even if he won unanimously, it's going to be by a minuscule amount because I'm telling you, Nick Walker was just about as good as you can be. And you know what? The judges had a tough time picking Samson. I can guarantee
you could
that.
tell by the way the night show was, and prejudging was too. At prejudging, it looked like Andrew won. But then at the night show, it looked like Chris even said it. He's going to keep him the same. He looked the same, whereas the other two actually improved.
Right. What do you think, John Hansen? Give us your feedback.
I just think with Andrew and Samson, you got two guys who are really genetically gifted with their structures. And if those guys make some improvements for the Olympia, I think they're going to be dangerous for Hadi and for Derek and for Nick, as we saw tonight. I think those guys could be the future of the sport because of their structures and because of their proportions. I think they're going to be really, really dangerous.
Agreed.
You know, we got to take our hats off also to Akeem Williams.
Their height sets them apart.
Mm-hmm.
Akeem Williams really, moved up. He worked his way up from prejudging to finals. He placed sixth here.
He looked good.
Money. He looked good. I thought he looked good. He's got high lats. We know that. But I thought he, when he first came out, we talked about him yesterday, Kamali and I. He was in really good shape. I mean, he's huge too. I mean, he's probably the most underrated guy in this lineup. That it was just a really, really tough lineup, but he did great. I mean, I would have liked to seen him probably beat Sean Clarita a little bit, but maybe Sean's a little more complete. But I got to take my hat off. I think this was a good comeback show for Akeem Williams.
Yeah, he's had a couple of bad years, so he needed this.
Yeah.
I don't. I also want to say that I don't see Ramy really improving, like you said. I didn't see his rear double.
I think the judges are going to demand at the Olympia a little bit more hardness.
Yeah, I agree. And Hani's really nailing the condition on both Derek and it's going to be really hard for these guys to be in better condition unless they really work hard. Because Derek is working hard. Derek is working to win. And, it's very possible we could have a new Mr. Olympia this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that that Hadi's going to repeat. I want to just give some honorable mention, though, some of the other classes. Lorelei Chapados beat the reigning Miss Olympia. She won the Bikini International. Congratulations to her. There she is.
Very nice. Very nice.
Great. I always liked her physique. I don't know what they didn't like about her at the Olympia, to be honest with you. I think they told her she was a little too flat or something. I don't know. But
yeah, they said she looked overtrained.
I like the fact that her voice sounds really good, too.
She got the French accent. That's why.
I got to say that, though, because a lot of these women, when they talk, we don't need to talk about why, but, she looks really beautiful. She doesn't look like she pushed the envelope too far, Is Chris coming on?
Yeah, Chris is going to join us.
Beautiful.
So
it is bikini division.
And
I thought it was a great show, though. It was really, really well done. The Flex Wheeler tribute was awesome. We're
going to talk about that. So let me just talk about Aaron Banks first, who won. Not only did he win last year's Arnold and won the Olympia, both in the same year, he also just repeated as Arnold Classic champ, and that's a tremendous
He's going to be hard to beat because he just has the right shape and right balance and the right, definition. And he's dry. He's going to be really hard to beat. He could do show after show and improve between the shows, whereas a lot of other people need layoffs. They need time off.
Why do you think we haven't seen a more dominant men's physique Olympia champ, John Hansen, in years past?
Well, the guy who won who was it? The one that
Buendia won 3 of them back in the day, but the division is so tough now. I think it's just hard to keep repeating.
Yeah. Well, they said on the commentary, and I agree with them. I think Aaron's he's got a different look. He's taller.
Yeah,
and he looks different than all these other guys, so it sets him apart, and he could be really dominant.
He's like the Bumstead of men's physique,
Yeah.
He's got the widest clavicles, and he's kind of like the Andrew Jack of men's physique. With the broad clavicles, the broad shoulders, the small waist. It's going to be hard for someone to beat that guy. It really is. Structurally, he's perfect for the division he's in.
Now, as you said, John, talk about the Flex Wheeler Award.
Yeah, I just thought it was a great show with, first of all, they did one for Jim Lorimer and then Flex, and I thought Flex had a really good acceptance speech, very emotional, as he's an emotional guy. And then they also did a great one for Cedric, too. So I thought it was really – the Arnold Classic always exceeds itself with the production quality. I mean, the show is always very, very well run. I didn't know if they're going to continue that without Lorimer, but they are. I mean, they did a fantastic job tonight. I thought it was a kind of a really emotional show in a lot of ways.
Yeah, now they mentioned Matt Nasser El Somebody too. Yes, they have mentioned me. Yes, I will say this though. I was just looking at this little graphic they put up, and I didn't realize that Nasser died on March 20th in 2013. It will be 10 years ago. Yeah. This March 20th, and I am actually having my heart surgery on March 20th. So hopefully Nasser doesn't try to pull me over to the other side there on the same day that he passed 10 years.
You're going to be fine, Palumbo.
You're going to be fine. You're not so heavy that it's going to be a problem. I think you're going to be fine.
I miss Nasser though. We always break balls about him, but he was a one of a kind character for sure.
Very intelligent, great personality. It's just really sad to see somebody like him no longer with us.
I didn't realize that was 10 years ago either.
I didn't realize. And then there's the Cedric McMillan tribute they gave. I don't think Arnold liked a bodybuilder more than Cedric McMillan.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Very nice guy. I met him myself in person. Just wonderful human being, really.
And he loved Arnold.
Yeah, and he loved performing on that Arnold Classic stage. That was the best he's ever looked up on that stage. So, and they brought all the actual past Arnold Classic winners out there, right?
Not all.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys who were alive.
Was Kai Green there?
No. Kai wasn't there. Brandon wasn't there, and one other person wasn't there.
I was out eating at that point. I had to go pick up the food for the house.
And Dennis Wolf.
Right.
Yeah.
Oops. I think we got Chris Aceto joining us here. Chris. You there, Chris?
I'm here. I've been standing here. My flight is leaving. Tenants are calling.
Oh, you're flying out today?
No, I'm kidding. Who's on the show? I got to put on my glasses.
We got John Hansen, King Kamali, Larry Pollack. We got Guru Ameen.
Okay.
And now we got Guru Aceto. I am not the guru.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened. You were front row, Chris.
What happened was that Samson came in far better tonight. Full stop. That's what happened.
How close was it between him and Nick Walker tonight? Seriously,
not close. It wasn't close.
No,
it wasn't close. I'm telling you, it's a different body and a lot more happening and a lot more to look at. Nick's tremendous, good density, good muscularity, but when you factor in muscle roundness, Samson's not a small guy. If you looked at the two, your eyes will eventually wander back to Samson. Yeah. I mean, he's just a rounder body. He might not be like, don't take it the wrong way. I mean, he just has a better body, and it's hard to beat a better body that's, whatever he weighs, 285, 280. He's not 297. So sorry, he's not 297. But let's say he's 280 or 278 or whatever he weighs. It's still a lot of weight. He's in really good condition. It's put together well. He doesn't have any weak poses. He's taller. He's wider. His standing relaxed. His taper's a lot better. He's got round legs versus, big giant legs that aren't round, which is, Nick's legs. And that's what gave him the win for sure.
Now, Andrew looked really good after Prejudging. We were talking about him as potentially winning this show. Did things flip flop tonight in your mind? Because you were pretty high on Andrew.
Dave, I will guarantee you, because I know that this was a show to be decided tonight, and Samson put it away. And I thought that the remarkable condition that Andrew was in last night wasn't there tonight. It was in very good condition, but it just didn't have all that crazy stuff on all the body parts to look at, which I think because he didn't bring last night's condition, at some points during comparisons, your eyes would just come off him. Simple as that. You know what I mean? It's not that, and I think when they came off him at some time during the comparisons, he looked tall, and not in the best way. Last night, he looked tall as a huge advantage. Tonight, it wasn't an advantage, if that makes sense, because the extreme detail was just great detail. And, you got to play with your strengths, so, what you have for each show. And I think like Samson's strengths is the roundness with separation. And I don't think he had the great separation yesterday. Tonight, Samson had great roundness. This Samson would have destroyed the Samson at the Olympia, absolutely annihilated it.
How would he have done against Hadi Chupin?
I think it'd give Derek and Hadi a lot of problems. Okay. I don't think it'd get by him yet. Right. I think that Hadi's still got, a lot, I don't want to, not yet, but he would have been, he would have been third.
Yeah.
Is Ramy, in your mind, done?
No, I don't think he's done it all. I don't think he's done it all. I think that, there's a freak factor there that we all can recognize. But like, he just doesn't, have right now, like in this show, even though he's much better tonight, like enough detail to like really highlight it, if that makes sense. There's all shots he looks big and dense on, but when he was standing next to Samson tonight, yes, he looked powerful in some shots, but you would still like on the front double look back at Samson. You know what I mean? Because they were right next to each other. And on the side chest, even though Ramy's leg is big as one of these hotel columns I'm looking at, Samson's is no slouch in that matter. That department. And you go back to looking at Samson. You don't say like, oh, Samson's blowing away on the side chest, but you're like, well, that's a toss-up shot, and that's Ramy's probably absolute best shot.
Is Ramy having problems with guys like Samson and Andrew because of the fact that these guys are actually taller than him and wider than him, whereas before he was going against guys like Phil Heath and Bonac and and Brandon, who he's either on par or taller than.
Well, listen, it's a good point, David. And this lineup, I mean, the two interesting facts of this lineup, which was the top four, is we haven't had tall, wide guys in Olympias, since like a Dennis Wolf. Yeah. We haven't had Samson is tall and Andrew is tall, and it works for them. You know what I mean? It's the minute you put on one side of either of those guys, where you put, let's say, Nick, not only does Nick look short, which is height, this is not a height game, but they're also wide, and they also have natural, smaller hips, and add flaring thighs to that, and they become a problem for Ramy, and Nick. So they become a problem for Nick. So it changes the dynamic going forward. Like let's say running into the Olympia. I mean, you have two short guys in first and second. Granted, they're packed with muscle, and they have flow and shape too. But height can matter depending on who is in the lineup. Height and width.
Chris, what can Andrew do from now to the Olympia?
I think I'll ask you that question. I'll ask the question back to you, but I'll try to answer it first. I think if he had 8 pounds of muscle on his body, like with last night's condition, this show would have been a complete slam dunk, because I know for sure it was really close and he was, right there to win it last night. I think that Samson was ahead. I haven't seen the score sheets. I'm just told, through the scuttlebutt, that Samson had a very, very, very minute lead last night. So I think
Over
just add
Nick,
muscle.
over Nick and Andrew, he had the lead.
Over Nick and Andrew, yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Let me
that's
ask
what I
you-
hear. I mean, it's, you can quote me on it. It's not factual, just what I hear.
I'm going to read you the scorecards. I got them right here in front of
Yeah.
me. Posted.
Read go through the prejudging, Dave.
Yeah, let's see that.
Samson at the prejudging was first, unanimous ones, they're saying. At
Yeah.
the finals, unanimous ones. So,
Yeah. Okay.
And
What about-
let's look at what's his name?
Andrew.
Andrew
Nick.
Jack had 14 points. Yeah, so I guess he was second.
Yeah.
Hold on, no wait, is that no? Nick Walker was second, had 11 points to
So-
Samson. So Andrew was it was pretty consistent. Andrew was third through prejudging and at the night show, so they really didn't change anything.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that doesn't mean it wasn't closer, because
No.
they could have been very close at prejudging, even though they gave the nod
Yeah.
to Samson. And then tonight it was more of a slam dunk decision. I think that's what they're
Yeah.
saying.
I mean, I mean, people have different preferences. I mean, you can make an argument for in prejudging for different people, but I think that Samson, really looked, good tonight. Sharp, full. His intercostals, which he had none in prejudging. They were like rock hard tonight.
Yeah.
Chris, can I ask you a question about what you did with Andrew between the prejudging and the night show that maybe you would have done differently?
Well, you can't answer that until you. I mean, what I did is nothing. But when you can only do it differently when you actually get to see on stage. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like planning. It's like planning a surprise engagement for your wife, and if it's a dud, you say, "Oh, that didn't work," and if it really worked good, you say, "Oh, I made a good decision."
You
So
know what,
what are your
Chris?
plans to? Sorry.
The right answer is, if Chris would have loaded him up with a ridiculous amount of food and he came back softer, everyone would have said, "What happened to Andrew? He faded."
Yeah.
I think Andrew, just like Chris said, needs another 8 pounds of muscle. Exactly what he said is what it amounts to.
Yeah. But I'm surprised at those scorecards, because yesterday it looked like it was Andrew and Nick.
That's what I thought. So I don't know if they're doctoring the scorecards, or if it was that close.
To me, like Samson just came in tonight and just made the improvements tonight.
I can't imagine one judge yesterday didn't think that Samson didn't win. It just sounds a little weird that it was.
But they
straight
changed
for-
them all. He was in the middle, then he was on the right, then he was on the left. So they did actually do it pretty. They fairly went through them. I think they did it. What do you think, Chris? Did they do it fairly last night?
What's that?
Did they do it fair where they had everyone in the middle?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just judged what was in front of them. I think they judged what was in front of them last night. I think that I wish I could come up with a better word than think, because you can't, prove it. But I just think that they could make up their minds last night based on the way they moved 1, 2, 3 around.
Yeah.
And I think that it was easier decision to make tonight for them. I think it was a much improved Samson over last night, and I think that that yes, we judge prejudging in finals, but at the end of the day, the last look is the one where you got to put your pencil to the paper and say, "This is who I have first." So you can't say really, "Well, this guy was in prejudging better." Well, that was yesterday. We're looking right now. Right. So they gave people a chance tonight. They rejudged it again, and I think that they came to the right conclusion.
And at the end of the day, the top 3 made a very, very nice payday for themselves. So I'm sure all 3 men are extremely happy with the checks that they're taking home. Samson, obviously, more than anyone else, because he just made $300,000.
Yeah, I just told Samson, I said, "Samson, I guess you didn't know the Biden rule is if you're making an income in the United States, they take 30% before you even get to Britain.
Is that
they
true?
take another 50%. So you're down to 80, but no, I'm just kidding.
There's
Chris, do you think you can bring Andrew in the condition that you brought Sean Roden in at the Olympia this year?
I think I can bring in Andrew into the best condition out of everyone in the show.
Just a little more time with him. Have him get a little bit more. His forearms need like they look a little bit more bigger. His hamstrings could be a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you ask me, can he be bigger? Yes. You know, you didn't ask me. I mean, you asked me, can I bring him in condition? I'm totally confident I can bring him in. Like
he was shredded tonight. So,
but he didn't have the type of glutes that Sean Roden did. Like Sean Roden's glutes were insane.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, a lot of that. I mean, a lot of people
Roden was training 15 more years than Andrew Jack too. So
yeah. So I mean, it's muscle density, maturity to weigh, and I mean,
Chris, in your estimation, does Ramy stick with Chad or does he switch?
No, he'll stick with them. You know, it's like one of these weird things. I mean, I think you made the point, Dave. You know, he's beaten Bonac, right? He was, in 2017. You know, he was, pushing Phil. You know, and as great as Phil is, Phil's short and narrow.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not an absolutely stunning bodybuilder and phenomenal, but it's different physiques.
Sure.
At least in this show, but then I guess you could go back to the Olympia where he wasn't, he didn't look good though there, Yeah. I mean, in terms of like, those are shorter guys and less wide than him.
Should Samson Dauda had one best poser in your mind?
He could have won best poser. Yeah, I mean, he had a good posing routine. I think
was the best poser award for Andrew. Is that a consolation prize? Because
they went with entertainment value. They went with they just.
Well, Dave, you have to also understand. I'm also a previous winner of this.
You are
of this award because it has nothing to do with posing. It was more to do with entertainment.
That's what you said. Yeah.
Lorimer himself told me on the telephone. He said, "This is not a posing award. Gotcha. This is an entertainment award." So look at it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you were very entertaining. I loved your routine.
Appreciate it.
Back in the day.
Chris, got a question, man. What can Samson do to beat Hottie?
He has to be. He has to win the back double, and he has
but Hottie's worst pose is his back double.
Not from the lower body.
No, I said that it don't matter. He has to. Well, that's why I said it. I mean, one, he has to win. He has to win the back double. So and then two, he has to. He can't be like wishy-washy. Prejudging. Let's talk about the good parts of him first. Tonight, he looked fantastic, but he can't come into an Olympia like he did in Prejudging, which was like really good. But not really as hard as I thought he'd be, not as separated as I thought he'd be, and then just like progressively fading from there, even though he was really good. So he just has to bring like this look and a little bit better in Prejudging and then hold it, for the finals.
Right. Stay consistent, yeah.
The funny thing is that Samson didn't look any smaller than Ramy on that stage.
Well,
I just the first person we've ever seen do that to Ramy,
Well, I just said, when Ramy was on one side, on the outside, and Samson was next to him, and I said, as big as Ramy's side chest is, your eyes still came back on the pose. You know what I mean? To the shoulder tie-in, the arm tie-in, the pec fullness, the, smaller waist, the thighs separation. Your eyes still came in terms of the pose itself, back to Samson. I mean, and that's a great pose for Ramy. So what's that say? And then standing relaxed. Samson takes up a lot of space, and he's tall. He's very round through the shoulders, very round through the upper pecs. So it's an advantage to him in a lot of shots.
Is Samson another Ronnie Coleman story in the sense that Ronnie, no one really saw him coming? And then all of a sudden, he just showed up and dominated, in a sense.
I just hate when people compare people to Ronnie Coleman. It's like Ronnie would dust him. No disrespect.
We talked about this last night.
Is Usher as good as Michael Jackson? We went to the Usher concert. No.
How soon we forget.
Well, Chris, thank you for chiming in here and great coverage you guys are doing over there, you and Sid at the Expo Hall there. Give us your overall impression before you leave of the Arnold. Compare this one to all the ones that you've been to in the past.
I mean, the takeaway message is that Steve and Tyler are just going to judge what's in front of them, period. You know, you got Nick Walker, heavy favorite, you don't win. You know, I know Andrew, like, blazing and prejudging. Not only do you not win, but you've relegated to third. It's the judging what's in front of you, you know, which the takeaway is, or the good thing about the show is, I think anyone can win. And I don't think Hadi has any lock on the Olympia. I think he can win it, and I think he can definitely win it. And he's phenomenal. But in terms of people having locks on placings, I mean, after seeing the Olympia and after seeing this, the take-home message should be, you know, you bring it, we give it. You know, you bring the goods, we're going to give you the win.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you joining us, and have a safe flight home.
Okay, later. Thanks.
All right. Take care. That was Chris Aceto live from Columbus, Ohio. And he said it best. He was right there in that first row. Samson Dauda, clear-cut winner, and he had a horse in the race. So if anyone was going to try to defend, you know, the fact that Andrew Jack should have won, it would have been Chris, but he didn't say that. So
he never does, though. Chris is always he tells it how it is. He doesn't ever talk about his guy more. He's very humble. He's very honest, and I appreciate that about how he commentates on everything.
What do you think, Kamali, moving forward here? Do we see these guys shut it down for the rest of the year, or do we see them compete again?
No, they're going to shut it, especially Andrew and Samson, the top five guys. You know, if I was Akeem, I would jump on stage as fast as I would.
I 100%. You're right.
Yeah, Akeem should jump on stage, but Sean, no, he's got to stick to 212, man. I mean, if he wants to make some money, I can understand it, you know, but he's got a contract and he's the giant killer. He just, he just proved this point. Right now, tonight, he proved this point. I belong. I can stand next to these guys, and I'm as good, if not better, than the open class. So good for Sean. So proud of him. Yeah. But stick to the 212. I think that these guys just need, like, hey, man, you said it best. 8 to 10 more pounds on Andrew. Samson. Milos is already – I got to fucking apologize to Milos because he's been hounding me with text messages because I didn't have Samson doing anything yesterday. So he's like, now what do you have to say? So I'm like, okay.
He was better tonight. He was Chris.
Well, that was my point to him. I texted back to him. I said, look, they rejudged him tonight. Yeah. So did I. And I had Samson first, like a lot of people did.
Did he use the insulin yesterday on him to make him better today, or did he not use it and make him better?
Let me tell you something. It's funny.
You could come on the show. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, as funny as that is, because we fuck with Milos with the whole insulin thing. Andrew right now is screaming for that. Is screaming for the insulin. He needs that insulin rebound right now, and if he rebounds correctly in the next 40 to 50 days with the insulin and the protocol, he could put on 10 to 12 pounds of solid muscle.
Yep,
I've seen it. I saw Don Juan do it.
By the way, I'm putting you on the spot, Kamali. You owe well, you don't owe him anything, but I think you should give Fouad an apology. I think you were a little harsh on him last night. I went back and listened. I don't think he was putting down the girl you helped at all.
I didn't say. Okay, let me clarify.
I think you were a little too sensitive about it.
Let me tell you something. Well, of course I'm sensitive because I love Amanda. Number one. Number two, I wasn't the only one. I got 5 text messages from people
were trying to
all across. Okay, I'm getting to that. I got 5 text messages from people from all over the country saying the same exact thing. Why is he being so tough? That was my point. My point to Fouad was, I didn't say, Fouad, fuck you for doing that. I said you were a little too harsh on Amanda more than you were on all the other girls. No, that's what I told him.
You said her husband was going to beat him up. Come on.
Can I tell you something? Hold on a second. Let me tell you. Let me explain all that stuff. Okay. Let me explain everything. Let me say that too. All right. I cannot control what Scott feels and what Scott says to me. Okay.
Right.
If Scott contacts me and says, I'm going to pile drive him through the ground, I'm going to say back to him, okay, now if Fuad wants to go and have a conversation with me, I'm more than happy to, but Fuad should thank me and send me flowers because I talked Scott out of it.
All right. I listen.
Okay,
I listen.
Scott was going to do a lot of shit, and I talked him out of it. I said, "No, Scott, you don't want to do that. It's going to jeopardize your wife, and you're going to go to jail."
Yeah, I think you guys are over. I listened to it. He wasn't picking on her. All right.
I don't have a problem with Fuad. Okay, Scott had a problem because Scott is married to the
that's
man.
his wife.
He's defending his wife's honor and what have you. That's all. Okay, and I even told the last thing I said to Fuad was, here's his picture. Yeah. I sent a picture of Scott and Amanda. I said, go find him and squash it. And he said, I don't need to squash anything. I said, okay. Then my answer to him would be, go to Sumatra and you will get.
I thought Fuad and Dennis did a really good job in the booth.
I agree.
Dennis did a great job.
Yeah,
Dennis always does a good job. Good job, DJ.
Yeah. So, in summation, looking at the show as a whole, we come out with a new Arnold Classic champion. I still think Nick Walker made the right decision, whether he wanted to win or not. He was very dominant here. He collected a nice paycheck for himself. He's a young guy. He's got the whole year now to prepare for the Olympia. I think that was a victory for him because you know what? It could have gone either way. And I think Andrew Jack made a statement here that, hey, I can get my butt in shape. Now I got to go back to the drawing board, put a little size on for the Olympia and show you guys what I'm made of. And so I think and Sean Claritas basically made a statement here too, saying, hey, I can stand with the big guys and hold my own. Whether I decide to go to 212 or not, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do some open shows here. You guys better watch out for me. And Ramy sent the message that I'm not retired yet. Now, I don't know if that's a good or bad decision on his part. Only he knows the answer to that. But it looks like Ramy's sticking around. He's not going away.
Yeah, he looked better. He looked better than the Olympia too.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I think Chris said it very, very well. That they're judging what they see in front of them. You know, in the years past, Dave and King, you know how it was. There was some little politics involved sometimes. We would see that, but now it's not like that. Tyler's being very, very fair. He's judging what he sees in front of him. I see that too. I thought from prejudging, Andrew might have been a little bit better, but we didn't see the scorecard. But Samson definitely was no question.
Do you want to know why the politics have died down? Because everyone's watching everything live on social media, and the next day you can't do anything anymore.
Right.
These guys are like, the perfect example of that is when The Sopranos was on. Everybody's watching Sopranos. The real mob was getting pissed off because they were giving away all their secrets. They asked one of the mobsters afterwards. They're like, "What did you think of Sopranos?" He goes, "Oh, I hated that fucking show. They were giving away all our tricks." So it's the same thing when it comes to bodybuilding, man. And you can't be a judge because they'll be crucified the next day.
Yeah. You're right.
They did a great job. They did a great job. It was even. It was great. They did a fantastic job judging.
Well, congratulations to Arnold Schwarzenegger pulling out a really good one. This was a tough show for Arnold because it was only 8 weeks after the Olympia. The lineup wasn't going to be good. He raised the prize money. The athletes came. One of the best shows. I'm glad to see that the audience was packed again. The expo was overflowing from what I understand. I guess the COVID years are gone behind us. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that ever again. And I'm glad that show has been returned to its splendor. All the people who put the show on, congratulations on doing a great job. And Brian Powers over there. And I know David Bay behind the scenes and all of Arnold's helpers and all the people who make that show possible. And thanks for opening your arms as you always do to us. The live stream I thought was really well done, very professional. I felt like I got my money's worth. So I think that this show has to be considered a success. Obviously, we have a new front runner potentially in Samson Dauda. Congratulations on his win, as well as all the winners for the entire weekend. Guys, I want to thank you guys for joining us live and helping me wrap up this show. And, of course, all the people who tuned in and are tuning in right now watching us live here. Thank you. All right. Can you take us out, Kamali, with one final Sumatran?
Thanks, Dave. Have a good night.
This is called green tea. You must drink it exactly 3 seconds before you do legs.
All right, guys. I'll see you again next year.
Peace.
Take it
All right,
easy.
Take care, man.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Peace.